We chose to interview Ellie Bettenhausen. She is a good friend of Jessie Tatsui, a member of our group. She fit into the age range we were assigned, and we knew prior to the interview that she was a good speaker and very comfortable on camera. Jessie conducted the interview over Zoom, while Priscilla took down notes of observations.
My real name is Yael Bettenhausen. I am 19 years old and I go to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities.
And do you think your personality traits, like you were born with them, or do you think they developed after birth?
Both. I think personality traits wise, I think I have a little bit of like outgoingness
Mm-hmm.
from my parent. Like I think some traits are definitely developed like interests. Like I would say I'm like athletic and I'm sporty, but
Mm-hmm.
like I'm athletic because my parents nurtured me and also they were athletic, so I think those are innate. And also like my interest in sports kind of grew as I was nurtured in that environment.
Yeah. From Ellie's answer, she believes that her personality traits were both due to nature and nurture. She was born with some innate interests, but these were developed through the way her parents raised her. John Locke's theory, tabula rasa, is that no one is born with an innate personality, but rather characteristics are a product of nurture. This theory only proves half true for Ellie's situation. Okay. How many languages do you speak, and when did you learn to speak another language?
I can speak two. I primarily only use one. I can speak English and Hebrew. And I learned to speak that other language starting in kindergarten, but it's kind of been a full development.
Ellie is able to speak two languages but primarily only practices one. The ability to develop language is something we're all born with, according to Noam Chomsky and his nativist theory. This theory argues that humans are pre-programmed with the innate ability to develop language. This applies to Ellie as she was able to learn two languages simultaneously from a very young age.
Um, what are other important areas of life? Examples being family, career, education, civic involvement, spiritual.
Biggest things for me, and they're very different, are sports and music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I grew up playing, all these different sports. I loved soccer was my passion for the longest time. I would always be like, I'm gonna be a professional soccer player. All my friends in high school and in middle school were surrounded by people who were also athletic, who also enjoyed being athletic. And then I've also like always loved singing, and I sucked at singing for a long time, but I still really like singing and writing my own music. And when I was in seventh grade, my dad bought me a guitar, and that kind of like took flight for my whole music life. So I've never really gone back. I keep writing music.
Ellie explains how she participated in sports and is also a musician. These are examples of some of the multiple intelligences that Howard Gardner theorized people could have. Ellie's athletic ability is an example of being body smart, and her ability to play instruments and sing is an example of being music smart. Also, having the ability to play sports, especially at a high school level, there is a great deal of coordination needed. This level of coordination is one of the major stages of physical development for someone in the adolescence age range. How has culture shaped your life and faith?
Yeah, completely. Culture has completely shaped it. I grew up Jewish. I went to a private Jewish school. I went to a private Jewish summer camp. Been going basically from fifth grade onwards. And it's definitely made my identity, my core values, my beliefs. Um, I had a bat mitzvah, which basically just tells you that um, you're entering this like adult, you're choosing the adult life in a Jewish world. I've had many traditions. I celebrate the holidays every year with my families. Um, yeah, it's definitely shaped my life. My faith, maybe a little bit. I definitely would say growing up, I was kind of forced into believing in like a higher power of God. I don't necessarily, I mean, I've definitely distanced myself as I continue to distance myself from like a Jewish life. for sure. So I've definitely become more distant with that connection. I tend to believe in faith more as through music, I would say.
She was able to tell us culture has played a major role in her life and faith. At least at this age, she's matured enough to make her own decisions about her faith and not just believe something because her parents believe in it. However, music plays a major role in her faith and is something she decided to follow and not just subject herself to the beliefs of her parents.
Do you find yourself to have meaningful relationships with friends, good self-esteem, and are capable of reaching your full potential?
Yeah, I definitely think that. I think I try. I don't. Um, Meaningful friendships are kind of a lot for me. Like, I mean, that's like I need that.
Mhm.
They definitely help me grow and instill a lot of light and potential in me to reach for my dreams. I really do think that I have a capability of reaching my full potential. I think that it's up to me though. It's not necessary. I mean, it's great to have relationships push you and motivate you, but in the end, it's definitely me that's like you need to do it. So for good self-esteem, I have good self-esteem. I just don't necessarily have like good self-talk sometimes. I tend to put a lot of pressure on myself and need to exceed a lot of expectations that I set.
From Ellie's response, we know that friendship is a very important aspect of her life and helps her to be the best version of herself. Based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs theory, which is a 5-step pyramid that shows the level of needs a person seeks to obtain throughout life, it can be determined that through this, Ellie's psychological needs are being met. She also mentioned that ultimately at the end, it is up to herself to work on her full potential, which goes to show that her self-fulfillment needs are also being met.
And so, as an adolescent, do you feel more independent? If yes, how have you been able to achieve that? Or do you now feel that you have like more control over your life, like things that you do, decisions that you make?
Yes and no.
Okay.
My family jokes around with me saying that I'm really dependent, and I agree with that because I see it. Like, I leave my dishes everywhere and I have people clean it up for me. Like, I am messy in my room. But I try. I've been getting better. I've realized that I like living on my own. Um, I'm capable of living on my own. I mean, I will really put that to the test next year when I have to like shop on a budget. But I would say I do feel more independent than I did last year, years before. Compared to the average person, probably not.
All these personal decisions show a high level of independence and abstract thinking. We could actually relate these to the former operations of Jean Piaget theory. At this stage, you see, she's able to think logically and also picture circumstances or events she's never experienced.
Do you feel you were mature enough to have an intimate relationship? Intimate being like deep emotions and conversations and things like that.
Yeah, that's another. I feel like that's another personality trait of mine. I would say that I can be very different. I could be very, very bubbly and energetic, and I could be really down to earth and philosophical. And I think for me, I mean, I would like to learn more about kind of deeper material, but I do find myself having very like mature connections and um, kind of communication with some people, which is awesome. Definitely get on that intimate level with people. Um, yeah, I do think that I have the maturity to have intimate relations.
Her sense of maturity when it comes to relationships suggests she's able to develop intimate relationship beyond the adolescent love. We could actually relate this to Erik Erikson theory as regards late adolescents. At this stage, it's expected for them to develop intimate relationship for long-term commitment and even look beyond the casual intimate relationships. This phase of late adolescence is expected that the adolescent should be able to think abstractly and consider the big picture. Their intellect expands and the knowledge becomes more important to them. They begin to explore ways of being independent from their family. Their peer groups also begin to expand as many of them become interested in romantic and sexual relationships. Others in this age range may also question and explore their sexual identity, which may be stressful if they do not have the support from peers, family, and community. They also show a greater interest for privacy. Their peer group consists mainly of platonic relationships where friends share same interests or goals. Their expectations fall into theories like these expectations fall into theories like Eric Erikson and Abraham Maslow and Jean Piaget. These theories helps us to understand the behavioral pattern in each phase of life. We can say it helps us to understand how thinking, feeling, and behavior change throughout the person's life. However, it is possible to find similarities of this pattern among individuals, but it could also vary from person to person. Most importantly, these theories have helped us to understand the advances in adolescent stage.